Today we're going to be talking about pro-life protesters. Let's get into it. So for those of you who don't know what pro-life protesters are, they're basically protesters that go out on public street debating and protesting against abortion. Now, this is a very sensitive topic because we have one side, which is the pro-life people that believe that abortion is more murder for a baby and that they should be pushing and encouraging people to not, have an abortion. They're mostly Christian, 9 times out of 10, because they really care about this topic and they believe that through Christianity, that they should be encouraging people to not have an abortion. We also have the people who are not pro-life. What I do know about these people is that they believe in the woman's body, the woman's choice, and that since the baby isn't born yet, they don't have a mind or anything to decide whether or not they could stay alive or be aborted. So therefore, it's the woman's decision because it's her body. Now, I see the validity in two of these arguments, because like I said, it's a very sensitive topic and I see what people are trying to come with. But we're going to be reacting to some of the clips that I've seen online, of pro-life protesters and the rebuttals that they face. And then we're going to really get into depth of this topic because it's something that there's a solution to, but I feel like the way either side is going about it is wrong.
What do you think the punishment should be for somebody who has an abortion?
If you have actively and willfully murdered someone, I believe the death penalty is appropriate because the Bible tells us that's what justice looks like.
So you're so pro-life that you're pro-death.
That's all. It's very simple.
It's not a human being, it's a fetus.
A human fetus is a human. And even if you're scientifically ignorant and out of your depth, it doesn't change that that's a fact. A human fetus is not a dolphin fetus. A dolphin fetus is a dolphin in the fetal stage of development.
I just believe that the fetus has intrinsically less worth than a full...
Because you don't believe in human rights.
It's a human fetus, but I believe in people's rights.
Right. You believe in people's rights. And now we're in the land of arbitrariness where certain people can be mistreated and treated like chattel, human vermin, drains on society, all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to play the game of deciding which humans are people or not. Hitler played that game, and it was not good. The American South played that game, and it was not good. Saying these humans are not persons is the key and the hallmark of an evil society and an evil man. You don't get to decide who's human or not.
I didn't say human, I said human.
I'm telling you, that's what tyrants do. They decide which humans are people. Because it's easy to kill someone that's not a person. That's all.
So if abortion's not murder, what is it then? Because I would say it's murder.
It's a medical procedure.
Okay, so what is
under the definition of...
Let's talk definitions. What's the definition of murder?
people that are outside?
No, I know, but what's the definition of murder? If you don't know, I'll tell you. It's not a trick question. I'm just asking, what is the definition, if you Google it right now, of murder? What is that?
Killing an individual.
It's premeditated, unjustified taking of innocent life.
So
what is abortion? Is it premeditated? Is abortion premeditated? Like, you know what you're doing?
it's not a life, first off.
Okay, well, we can disagree on that. Is it premeditated, though, to take the
It's not a life.
It
So
is,
it's
it is
not
premeditated.
because it's not a life in general.
Okay, so it is premeditated, and it is unjust because it hasn't committed a crime.
Choice. I don't endorse it. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it should be seen as a standard form of contraception. I don't think it's something that women should be able to do willy-nilly. It's not something to be celebrated. However, when you say you're pro-choice, people then take that as mandate to run around saying abortions are great. No, they're not. But I would argue that society can't benefit from forcing women to have kids they don't want. I mean, how can that child be raised well if the woman doesn't want the child? They're gonna have child abuse. They're gonna have a whole bunch of new problems. So I don't think forcing people to have children they don't want is the answer. So I am pro-choice.
Opposed to abortion. But I do not believe that just because you're opposed to abortion that makes you pro-life. In fact, I think in many cases your morality is deeply lacking. If all you want is a child born, but not a child fed, not a child educated, not a child housed, and why would I think that you don't? Because you don't want any tax money to go there. That's not pro-life, that's pro-birth. We need a much broader conversation on what the morality of pro-life is.
Now, obviously, I'm a Christian man, so of course I'm going to have a certain opinion, but I also want to provide a much more deeper nuance. As I said, this is a very serious topic. It's not a topic that people are really comfortable making black and white. So this isn't something that we can just approach like, like with a brick. It's got to be discussed more thoroughly. But when we look at the topic of abortion, right? I think the topic of abortion is one of them ones where we have to understand that when it comes to contraception or not wanting to have a baby, I guess the only problem that I have with abortion is that abortion shouldn't be seen as a contraceptive measure. Like it shouldn't be seen as one of them things where it's like, oh, I'm pregnant, I'm going to get an abortion. There should be steps before that should be taken in order to avoid that big, scary abortion. And the thing is, there are many steps before it. And I think that's the main thing that pro life people forget. Now, I get that their intentions are pure. I get that they want to save babies and they want to change the minds of people that are out there. Their intentions are pure. However, you're never going to really see much success on larger scale because when you come across telling people abortion is bad, it's not going to lead with a good precedent because the way people see it is that if you don't have the finances to have a baby, or maybe say you're in a messed up situation, you're not ready to be a good parent, or you don't want the baby to go into adoption, that it's best for you to abort it. There are many reasons why someone would choose to get an abortion. But before that, what are the things that we can do to make sure that people aren't even considering an abortion? Well, if you're a Christian person that's a pro-life protester, you got to go way back, as in way back. And that's, you have to try and preach to people to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. Because here's the thing about sin, like abortion or with anything, right? When you go out in public telling people that this sin is wrong, it feels like an attack. And I get it. You have to tell the truth either way. But people aren't going to know the gravity of what they are doing if they don't have Christ in them. I think a lot of us that weren't Christian before had this phase. I know I had this phase with, say, lust, pornography, stealing, anger, fighting. When I became a Christian, I was still very in the world. Even though I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior, I was still very much in the world. And I would make excuses for these things that I was doing. If I'm stealing for people that are in my loved one's family circle, then it's not really stealing because I'm stealing for everyone around me. Or if I'm beating up people that deserve to be beat up, then it's not a sin because, well, those people deserve to be beat up. And so on and so forth. You get the whole idea. Once you're in the mindset of sin and you don't have Christ in you, or you've just started to have Christ in you, you make excuses for these sins, right? And it wasn't until I built a relationship with Christ, that's when I started reading the Bible and I started, accepting Jesus more into my life, every aspect of my life, and then, letting my flesh die. That's when I started to see the gravity of what I was doing. Whether I was stealing for good purposes or not, stealing is still stealing. And if I'm comfortable stealing a small bit, I'll eventually be cool with stealing a large bit. Addition to that, I'm stealing from someone's hard labor. And even though, yes, you could talk about these big corporations or greedy or whatever it is, the fact of the matter is the fact that I'm stealing is a bad example to my younger ones. And I'm going to make someone be influenced to do even more than what I did. Or say if I'm beating up people with anger, if I'm sat there to myself saying, oh, it's justified, then I'm going to keep justifying doing bad things like hurting people or cussing people out because they deserve it. And that's not really godly. It's not loving. There's no way people are going to know I'm a Christian if I'm beating people up. Do you get what I'm saying? But like I said, that was through the thorough understanding and building of my relationship with Jesus Christ. And that's where you start to see the gravity of what you're doing. When you call to someone saying you shouldn't do this, right? Although, yes, it is very good intentions, they are not going to be able to understand because they don't have Christ in them. And even if, say, they are, new to the faith, they haven't built a relationship enough to understand why it's bad. So I feel like with pro-life people, the main goal should always be to preach the word of God, introduce people to Jesus Christ, because you cannot tell a worldly person why their worldly things are bad. It may work for some, but 9 times out of 10, they need Christ to understand it in a Christ way, because the fleshly way makes sense. Yes, it does make sense to get an abortion when you don't have the financial capacity, or to have an abortion when you're not even married or have the right partner, or you're not ready to be a parent or things like that. It makes sense in the world. But in the spiritual aspect, why is abortion wrong? Well, if you see abortion as a contraceptive measure, there's been many, many studies of women who have said that that's really haunted them. The fact that they've got an abortion afterwards. It's really messed them up.
I don't care what anybody says. An abortion is traumatizing. The experience is traumatizing. It's trauma. Whoever says different, that's been through it, they were okay, is a liar. And again, it's not just those physical impacts, but also the emotional. Because again, a lot of shame, a lot of guilt. I just killed a life that I created.
Everybody always talks about miscarriage grief, but nobody talks about abortion grief. Like, is it so hard to believe that I actually wanted my baby, even though I did do what I did? Maybe I wanted my baby, but not with that person. Or maybe I came to terms after being impregnated about a person that, oh, I know he's not going to change. I know the situation is going to get worse for me. And that was just the case for me. Like, I just knew the situation was going to get worse. I knew that person just wanted to have a tie to me when it came to that baby. I was put in situations, although I was pregnant with that person's child, and let's just say it wasn't the best situation. I want to say I was like depressed, but I don't even want to say depressed because I know I was probably like feeling a flow of emotions being that I'm pregnant with the baby. I just knew that a baby was not going to change that man. It wasn't going to make him a better man, a happy man. Like, nothing can really change him and help him but God and counseling. Y'all gotta stop thinking that people don't feel away when they get abortions, because we do. It actually took me like a whole year or two to actually stop feeling bad or being about to cry whenever I'm talking about it. Like, I never wanted to talk about it with nobody. After I even did the procedure, I sat in my car and cried so bad. Like, it's not funny.
Let me say this. I had multiple after that. I had multiple. I think I said it in the beginning, but yeah, I had more. So after the first one in 2008, I had another one just a year later. And another one just like a year and a half after that. So because I had fell into the trap, even though I had gotten through the first one, which is what I thought, by stuffing my pain and trying to move on and trying to, go through life acting like it didn't happen, I still was in I still was in the trap. I just didn't know I was still in the trap. And I didn't know that the thought and the temptation would come back to me when I got pregnant again. So it would only come up when I got pregnant again. The devil is funny. Like, he won't tempt you every day. He's going to tempt you when you are most vulnerable. He's going to tempt you when you are more likely to say yes. It's like he's the most evil, cunning salesman you can think of. Like, come at you when you are the most vulnerable and say, oh, this is what you need. This is the best option for you. Like, that was when I got tempted and then I fell for it.
Or you also have women who have also fell to the desensitized bit, where they don't even see, even if the baby is alive and, kind of developing the stomach, they don't see it as a human being. And as a result, they keep getting more and more abortions to the point where they don't feel a connection with the child that they're having. Or additionally to that, they take less care of their body. So many different studies that have been shown about why abortion can be wrong. Do you understand? And it has a crucial effect on not your spiritual life, your mental life, things like that. There are many downsides to abortion. But before you even talk about abortion, people need to understand why having sex outside of marriage is wrong, period, or sexual immorality. And before people can understand how sexual immorality is bad, people need to understand Jesus Christ. Because when they understand that relationship with Jesus Christ, then they understand, okay, why is sexual immorality wrong? Well, sexual immorality is wrong because I could potentially get an STD. Someone is using my body and I'm going to eventually feel insecure about myself or self-conscious because, yeah, it may seem fun by now. Eventually, I'm going to find it difficult to pair bond, or I'm going to be desensitized, or it's going to mess with my mental health. You never know what kind of spirit you exchange with people. Additionally, that sexual immorality can lead to unwanted pregnancy, where you're going to be forced to be in a position where you're raising a child by yourself, or you have an abortion. Or if you have, if you do sexual immorality and stuff like that, someone may have the opportunity to grape you or whatever it is. There's so many things wrong with sexual morality. And once someone can understand the problem with sexual morality, then they are less likely to even get into the position where they would even have to get an abortion. Abortion is one of them ones where it's like, it's not something that people want to do, but if they have to do it, they will. And that's what we should be aiming to help people understand, that you don't have to get an abortion. Moreover, you can just have this thing where you don't have sex and you live a life where you preserve yourself for the right person, so that even when you do get pregnant, you feel safe to have that baby. You feel safe with the partner that you love to have that baby. You feel safe with in-laws and your family members to have that baby. But you see some people, they don't have that. Hence why they have the mentality to have an abortion. There's so many nuance to this, and there's so much craziness to it, to a point where like you can't just come at it the way that these people come at it. And like I said, they have good intentions, but abortion is a sensitive topic to people. There's a lot of women out there who have had abortions that they don't feel proud of. And that's why they get so aggressive about it when people try to shame them for it, because it's not a decision that they wanted to do themselves. There's a lot of women that have said that they wish they could have kept their baby, but they couldn't keep their baby for X, Y, and Z reason. This is not a topic that you can just go out in public and say, if you go out there and have an abortion, you're murdering babies. That is not the way to deal with it. People, the women are not going to feel comfortable that way. They're going to feel upset. In addition to that, to the women that maybe say having an abortion, they say a woman's body, a woman's choice and stuff like that, they wouldn't have the capacity to understand, because you are making it seem as if like that's not being considered. All parties need to be considered for this topic, because it's that nuance. It's a very crazy topic that you just have to address the right way. So if you're a pro-life person, your aim should be introducing people to Christ, not shaming them for the actions that they don't understand. You can try, but if you start off with that mentality of abortion is bad, they're not going to understand it. We need to go back, and we have to keep rewinding so that people can start from the very beginning. Okay, let's know who Jesus Christ is. And then by the time you implant that seed of Jesus Christ, that's when things start to make sense to them as to why they shouldn't even be in the position of having sexual immorality. Abortion is not a pretty thing, and I've seen a lot of women affected by it. It's one of them ones where it's sad to see, and I just have a lot of sympathy for women who have been put in that position. There's so many reasons why women may have been pushed to have an abortion. There's even cases of, say, like, they're with a partner and they may want to have a baby, but the partner that they're with is pushing them to get rid of that baby. There's that possibility as well. And that's another thing where it's like, well, I might as well get rid of it, even though I want to keep it because this partner of mine won't stay. But still, there's so many messed up reasons that it's just like, I guess what I want to make people understand is we need to be more humble. We need to be more caring and be more loving to help people understand and find ways to prevent this rather than shaming people for it. I understand that's not maybe what they're trying to do, but it's a heartbreaking thing for women to go through. It really is. And seeing how, it's sad, because I used to have a very black and white way of looking at it. I used to, as ashamed I am to say, I used to have this mentality where it's like, I was very dismissive of it. Like, oh, you shouldn't get an abortion. And it's like, even if you get an abortion, it's not a big deal because it's not, and you just can't approach it that way. You're not going to get anywhere that way. It's too sensitive to approach it that way. This debating and all stuff like that is not going to fix things. Let's learn to go deeper. And rather than seeing it as a numbers game, let's talk to these people. Let's see what made someone want to do that. Heck, let's make someone understand why people would even consider doing it. And for the ones who have done it and feel so upset about it, let's encourage them that this is a safe space to talk about what you went through. And even though I don't agree with what you did, I want you to know that you only did what you knew. It's
I regret having an abortion every single day. Every single day. I don't regret it because, certain things happen for a reason, but that does eat me up every day. Like every day, y'all. Y'all don't even know. Holy shit.
To give your baby up to a family who wants them instead of killing them?
Oh, ma'am. I have seen so many stories and countless, literally, like countless stories.
What happens in an abortion?
They literally suck the life out of you. They're going to take the whole baby out. And as they should, because I shouldn't be a taxpayer paying child support and food stamps and WIC for women.
You should be a taxpayer paying for abortions?
Exactly. But as for a woman who didn't want the baby in the first place, that doesn't make sense to me. Don't ever sit here and lock yourself down with a man who already told you he doesn't want to be with you. He doesn't.
I agree with
provide.
you.
I'm not disagreeing with you either. I understand.
You don't get to kill the
what I'm
baby just
saying
because their dad didn't want them.
You can.
Should we kill the kids in foster care? And
Why not?
that are-
Why not? If that's the case.
We should kill the kids in foster care that aren't wanted?
Who's going to take care of them? I need to know the percentage of people who take children from foster care and abuse them and molest them, who make them like personal slaves.
We should just kill them.
Statistics before you come to me talking about pro-life.
We should kill the victims of molestation.
I think, what does this have to do with molestation?
You just mentioned people molesting children. We should kill the kids in foster care is what you said.
What I'm saying is in general, overall. If I don't want to have a baby, I should have the choice to.
Just don't have sex then. Just don't have sex.
That's not even logical.
It is.
It is. Who are you, Nancy?
I sound dumb.
You
sound dumb as
Okay. It does, because even as teens, people explore. And it's like, as funny as you want to be, people should still have the choice.
So you went from saying that my outfit was really cute to saying I'm an effing idiot. That's so mean.
But I think that your point of view is very obstructed, and I think that you just don't understand the magnitude of having a child.
Yeah, well, I'm not the one who admitted they would be okay with killing babies in foster care and killing children that have been abused.
That's not the point. What I'm saying.
That's really.
What's wrong with you?
You have a.
Oh my God.
Hey! What the f did you do? She attacked my wife.
Your wife just attacked me.
So why you wanna?
Why is this following me? Why you following me?
I'm gonna get arrested.
This guy is brave for going undercover and getting these ladies to actually say this.
We're looking for livers and cardio and those,
I can get you without any difficulty at all.
So this footage is being filmed by an undercover journalist. He goes to the National Abortion Federation's commercial trade show. This is being hosted at one of the biggest Planned Parenthoods in Texas. And this journalist is here to talk business.
Every time I do a meeting, I'm like, oh, there's some law.
Yeah, you already know.
And this lady is Dr. Ann. She's the chief medical officer of this Planned Parenthood. And Dr. Ann is in the business of selling baby parts.
You have to come and play with our tissue. See if it's cool enough for you.
I like tissues.
We have a lot of it.
And they're all like, yeah, it's pretty profitable too. We get 5 to 6 samples a week.
Most weeks, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so I told them. So I have 2 providers who go up to 24 weeks, and Ann is one of the providers.
This lady is named Tram, and she's the vice president of abortion access at Planned Parenthood. And Tram's about to tell us how she loves freezing conjoined twin babies as prize specimens to look at.
We had 17-week twins in the freezer because we're waiting for a funeral home to pick them up. They were like the most intact. And I was like, it's really cool though. There's like 3 legs and like 2 spinal cords.
Yes, she knows what she's doing is psycho.
I'm like, yeah, I have like a leg for you. I'm like, oh shit. If other people were to hear me, they'd be like, you're f***ing evil.
Now, you might think that this is illegal and this stuff varies in all states. Well, it is, but they have their ways of getting around that.
If I'm doing a procedure and I'm in fear that it's about to come to the umbilicus, I might ask for a second set of forceps. Hold the body at the cervix and pull off the leg.
Oh, so you gotta, okay.
So it's not.
Right.
What she's talking about is a partial birth abortion, where the baby is being birthed, legs out, and as the head and neck are still in the womb, they snip the back of the neck and suck the brains out.
When you have patients who like cooperate, some of them like just like, and there's good dilation, it's just like one pass, and
you get the whole thing.
Is that
After this convention, the undercover journalist writes a contract offer to Tram. We'll give you $750 for the baby's liver and $1,600 for the liver and thymus paired. Tram's all on board, and she forwards it to her higher-ups. Now, this was led by an organization called the Center for Medical Progress, which was founded by a journalist named David Delighted. After these videos were released, David's house was raided by the state, and they took the video footage of the crime that Planned Parenthood has been involved in. Planned Parenthood is still funded hundreds of millions of dollars by your taxes every year.
Now, this section section of the video is to the men. Now, obviously, we hear the famous thing that women say, which is men shouldn't have an opinion on women's rights or women's choice to get an abortion because they're not the ones carrying the baby and it's not their body. We hear that all the time. However, I'm here to tell men that you do have a say in this whole situation, but not in the way that you think. We as men need to do a better job at protecting the women in our society and setting a better example. What I constantly see on social media is a lot of men saying things like, how can a woman get an abortion and this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah. But in that same breath, that same man will still be struggling with things like lust, whether it be watching pornography or looking at women or having the desire to indulge in hookup culture and have sex and all things of that nature. That you cannot have that kind of double mindset where you dislike abortion, but at the same time you indulge in the very thing that causes people to lead to that decision of abortion, which is sexual immorality, having sex outside of wedlock, and unwarranted, undisciplined sexual activities. If you're a man that wants to make a difference, then by all means, the best thing you can do is to be a leader. I keep saying this on this channel. Men are meant to be the leaders of society in the most positive way. We are meant to lead women into a positive direction. And the best way that we can lead women to a positive direction is having more respect for women's bodies and more respect for the act of sex. We cannot be indulging in sexual activities, but then shaming women for getting an abortion. We know abortion is bad. We know abortion is a form of murder. But in that same breath, what we can do better as men is to work on being disciplined, work on not indulging in that hookup culture that society has pushed us to believe makes you a real man or a superior man. Instead, what we should be doing is having more respect for women's bodies. We should have more respect for dealing with one woman and respecting that one woman and making more examples of what a stable home looks like, where we take care of a woman and our family, rather than just sleeping around, planting your seed in every other woman, indulging in sexual activities, but not wanting to take responsibilities. It just doesn't work out very well. We have to set a precedent and we have to set a standard. Up to the men watching this, reevaluate your impact in this whole situation. It's sad seeing situations where men want to have a say in the whole abortion matter, especially when it's them who's involved and whether they want to keep the baby and the woman wants to abort it, or maybe it's vice versa where they want to get rid of the baby but the woman doesn't want to get rid of it. At that point, it's difficult for the man to have a justified reason as to why he should get involved, because obviously it takes two to tango. But at the same time, it's about who's carrying the baby. So moral of the story, we as men need to make sure that we are setting that example of not indulging or supporting these sexual activities. We should be doing things like boycotting pornography. We should be doing things like boycotting OnlyFans. Really stripping down and tearing down these institutions that lead to these crazy examples and this normalization of casual sex. It's all of these things like porn and things of that nature that justify casual sex, and that's just not how things should be. Casual sex is a disrespect not only to the man but especially to the female body. And it's time that we take a stand as men and really start shutting down these things once and for all for the future generations to come as well, because they're going to grow up, and with the amount of things that they see online, they could be influenced to think that this is just how things are meant to be, when it's not meant to be like this. Women should be guarded and protected by a husband and a loving home and a loving family. And even if they're not in a marriage context, women should be protected by strong-willed men that are going to ensure that women aren't going to be sexualized or lusted over or made to believe that this is the way things are meant to be. We have to have more discipline and set a better example as men. That is the only say that men should be having in abortion. Your responsibility is to prevent the sex. Your responsibility is to prevent the unplanned pregnancy. Anything past that, that's up to the woman at that point. Sad to say, but it's just the honest truth. So if you want to be a man of full integrity, make sure you're taking the steps beforehand. And that is making sure you're not having sex outside of marriage, or making sure you're not having sex with a woman that you barely know, or having sex with a woman that you haven't even married yet. That's going to come in a position where she's going to either decide between an abortion or not. Be the man that draws the line and says, you know what? I love you and respect you so much to the point where I want to wait and marry you, and then do that. That's your responsibility. Anything afterwards, don't even bother wasting your time. Do the work, the hard bit, which is the before bit. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with what I have to say, or am I talking my bum? Whatever the case may be, I'll be ready to see what you guys have to say. But that being said, my people, God bless, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.